So the way that he sees, like your movie with the Navy SEALs running around with a night vision goggles on, you see all the blobs in front of them. That's the way that the sloth sees. So his eyes are designed to detect motion. So he sees motion very well, but he doesn't see particular objects hardly at all. So this guy can see the difference between me and either one of you. Okay. As far as he can look the same.
Can I feed him a banana?
Yeah, this whole bowl.
What's that? Huh? Huh? Good boy. Good boy. That's hanging down in your eye there, ain't it?
Good boy. So he goes out to name the branch. The branch is going to be like, and if the cat's trying to follow him out there, obviously that's not going to work. He's going along the bottom of the branch. The cat's going along the top of the branch while the branch goes, and if the cat presses the issue to the point that the branch should break and they both fall 100 feet to the rainforest floor, the sloth will almost certainly survive and the cat will almost certainly perish. So the cat will be laying there and the sloth will look over at him and say, and back up the tree he goes.
You don't want it because it's not a banana. That's right.
Banana days are tough. Get him to eat the rest of his food. So the rest of it, if he doesn't eat the rest, he'll go into his dish and he'll eat it later. But once the other ones start eating out here, he'll be like, okay, well maybe I will have some of that after all.
So he can fall and not get hurt.
Right. Now in his room, you've seen that there's a net in there. Mm-hmm. That's because if he fell in there, he's falling on concrete. Yeah. So falling 25 feet on concrete is a whole lot different than falling 100 feet onto the springy floor of the rainforest. But never seen him fall. But of course, I don't see him 24 hours a day. But there is a camera in there, and the camera's never seen him fall either. Sorry, excuse me.
Oh, you're good. Everybody seems to have a cold up here. I guess it's the weather.
No, it's allergies.
Allergies?
I sound more like I have a cold because after I had cancer 25 years ago, I had bleomycin therapy, so my lungs aren't normal. So it takes me longer to shake it than it does other people, but the Lord has blessed me. I'm not complaining. I just sound horrible, but I don't have a cold. I'm not contagious. So it's loud. And I think half of Tennessee started about 4 days ago.
Yeah.
I don't know what bloomed, but my goodness. I need to take it back.
It's been ours is over now.
The eagles have exceptional eyesight, and so they can find them more easily than other animals can. And they don't need the branch to support them going out. They don't care about the smell. They don't care about the temperature. So an eagle can find a sloth, but that's all. So given that the sloth is safe in the top of the tree, it makes no sense that he comes all the way down the tree, same side of the tree, every single time when he goes to the bathroom. And the sloth does come in. You've seen his room somewhat extensively from up there, and you see there's only shavings in one place. That's the only place he ever goes to the bathroom. And even though he's not a wild sloth, the habit remains. So the sloth comes all the way down the tree, same side of the tree, because of the moths. Now the first idea on why a sloth comes, it's cool when he hangs by two on the same side. So the first idea on why a sloth came down the tree to use the bathroom is he's just a neat animal. No sense in that. I mean, he's not Adrian Monk. He's not going to risk his life to go to the bathroom. Second idea was he's fertilizing his own tree via his waste. Again, no sense. If he went to the bathroom from anywhere in the canopy of the rainforest, it would fall above the root system and, no net effect. So the actual reason is the sloth-moth symbiotic relationship. So, in the wild, not here, praise the Lord, Sloths need moths, and moths need sloths. And it's a little Dr. Seuss, what I try to say repeatedly, sloth, moth, moth, sloth. But we'll see how it goes today. So there is a type of sloth, I've already messed up. There's a type of moth in the world called a sloth moth that lives nowhere on Earth except in the fur and in the waste pile of a sloth. The benefit to the moth is that the sloth is the food source and the living environment of the moth. In the wild, the sloth will have 100 to 150 moths crawling in his fur all over him all of the time. And here he does not. In the wild, he will be all covered up all over him with green and brown and black moss and algae and such as that. And the moths are feeding on that. And they are then fertilizing that moss and algae via their waste. So more moths is more camouflage for a sloth. Now, so the benefit to the moth is that the sloth is where they live and it's their food source. The only reason that the moths will leave the sloth during their life is to drink water that pools up in the leaves and the canopy of the rainforest, and to get into the waste pile when he comes down to go to the bathroom. When the sloth comes down the bathroom, and if you want to see how they do it, back up in my TikTok and find the one that says sloth potty time. Like, if you're on a live, you'd like scroll to one side to where it gets to all the videos and just scroll back until you find the one that says sloth potty time or sloth potty dance or something. He comes all the way down and he hangs and he gets his hiney right to the floor and he lets it rip. And he's going to be eliminating literally 1/3 of his body mass all at once. The moths will all fly down off of the sloth, get into the waste pile and lay their eggs, and get back to the sloth as quick as they can, because the sloth will only be down for 2 or 3 minutes and they don't want to miss their ride back to the canopy of the rainforest. Now, the benefit to the sloth, because it's symbiotic, meaning beneficial to both sides of the equation, where parasitic would be beneficial to one, neutral or harmful or fatal to the other. The benefit to the sloth is that the moss and the algae that the moth is fertilizing, giving more camouflage. Second, as he grooms himself, he licks up a certain amount of the moths themselves. That is his protein source. And third, as he grooms himself, he licks up a certain amount of the waste of the moths. And that is the real key for the sloth. So the waste of the moths is where the sloth gets his bacteria colony that causes him to digest his food. It is a proven fact that with a wild sloth, if the sloth's moth colony fails to thrive, the sloth will also pass away.
Oh, wow.
What will cause him to expire is lack of bacteria, makes him unable to digest his food. And so he will die of starvation even though his stomach is all the way full.
Wow.
So in captivity, they don't need the moths. They don't need the camouflage because there's nothing here to hunt them. They don't need the protein because they eat hard-boiled eggs 2 a week. And they don't need the bacteria. Now, we also have helpful gut bacteria. Our gut bacteria will last throughout our lives unless we take a long course of antibiotics.
Yeah.
If we take a lot of antibiotics, we need what? Probiotics or Greek yogurt, one or the other. He can't get to GNC, he's never heard of Publix. He is not going to have any probiotics or any Greek yogurt. So the sloth sources his replacement bacteria from the moths, the waste of the moths. Now, for us, what harms our gut bacteria colony is antibiotics. Sloth's also not going to take antibiotics. What harms his gut bacteria is cold temperature. That is why it is always 77 to 80 degrees in this room. We never ever let a sloth get colder than 70 degrees. As long as he maintains his body temperature, his gut bacteria will last throughout his life. That's also why we have a primary, secondary, and tertiary heat system for these spaces. Not for the rest of the building, but for where the sloths live, there is a first, second, and third heat system to keep the sloths warm at all times. The sloth is, so he is slow, and he is patient, and he's going to live a long time. In the rainforest, he's just not hungry today. In the rainforest, the sloth is going to live, they think, for around 20 years. But of course that's theoretical. No one has ever observed a sloth from birth to geriatrics, so no one can say for certain what the lifespan of a sloth is in the wild. According to slothconservation.org, a sloth that is taken from the rainforest and made to be captive area and the leaves. They just can't just suddenly switch up. Bred sloth, which these are captive bred sloths. Generationally, these are further removed from the rainforest than I am from the Nina Pinta in Santa Maria. So this guy would have no better idea how to survive in the rainforest than I would.
Yeah.
Presumably he would do better because he's designed for it, but
he's got his own
he wouldn't go into it knowing. And a sloth that is captive bred and properly cared for is demonstrated to live for 50 plus years.
Oh, wow.
The Smithsonian had one that was 49 when it passed. There are two in Germany that were 54. There's one in China that is reputed to be over 100, but it's China, so who knows.
Yeah.
But the breeder that we deal with has a female that is over 35 years old and still reproducing. So no one can tell you for sure that it's true of a sloth, but if it is true of a sloth, the way it is of most large mammals, that a female does not reproduce in the last half to third of their life, then that would indicate that those sloths could still live quite a while yet if they're 35 and still reproducing. So now the sloth being properly cared for in captivity, this is a pretty big thing that I tend to do a disclaimer. I tend to make a pretty big deal about it. There are a lot of sloth encounters out there that you can look at that they book their sloths for 8 and 10 hours a day. And there is information to demonstrate that those sloths are replaced often because they don't survive that. Please don't participate in those. There are sloth encounters out there that pull the sloth's teeth so that it's not possible for them to bite you. You've seen that this guy's got some serious fangs. He just likes what he does. The difference between our encounter and many others, and I'm not saying that there are not other good encounters, I'm saying look before you book. The difference between ours and others is our sloths book 1 hour. This guy books 1 hour a day. Today he's got an extra hour because of the snafu that we had changing the websites over. But if you look at my website, you can only book this guy 1 hour a day, and the other ones only book 2 hours a day. The sloth keeper, the design of it that we failed on when we switched the website, but the design of it is that if sloth keepers book, there's no other sloth encounter for the whole day. This is all that they do. So it's not even so much the number of hours that we're concerned about, it's the number of people.
Yeah.
We just don't want to see too many people a day. So even some of the ones that, only show the sloth 2 hours a day, they're showing 20, 30, 40 people at a time. In my personal opinion, I don't think that's a good way to care for a sloth. Second thing that I always do a disclaimer on, especially when we get to holding babies, is please don't look at what we're doing here and think it's a good idea to buy a sloth. It is not.
No.
There is a lot that goes into keeping sloths alive, healthy, and happy, and there is a lot that goes into having a sloth to begin with. There is no reputable breeder of sloths that will sell a sloth to a member of the general public. If you find a sloth that's for sale on the internet, you are absolutely buying a sloth that was taken out of the rainforest. It will not survive. And similar to having a house cat that is generationally a house cat, that cat wants to live in your living room. It wants to lay in your lap and purr while you pet it. It wants to snuggle up with you. Go take a feral cat out of the woods and see how that works out for you. So please don't buy a sloth. Everyone who sells them online claims that these are captive bred animals. Challenge them to produce the parents, and they will not be able to. So please don't buy a wild sloth. And another little clue, if it costs less than your vehicle, you are definitely buying a wild sloth.
Lots more than your automobile?
Yes. They don't.
Huh? You have to sit down and hold the babies anyway.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and get one of these babies out. So we're gonna see the baby first, and then we'll move on to Zoe. Zoe, because the snafu has already seen a couple of people this morning, and so we're giving her a break before we pull her out. But we're not gonna miss any time with it.
You just hang out there.